Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Pacific Horseplayers right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your host, Noah Meagher, of course, joined by my wonderful co-host and friend, Ryan Anderson. Tonight, we're going to be covering a late pick 5 at Del Mar on Saturday, November 16th. Very excited to get into that for you guys. Before we do that, we'll go ahead and fly through the admin first. Of course, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Of course, Breeders' Cup is over, unfortunately, but we still do have the regular Power Picks. You can go sign up for that down below on at Patreon. And, of course, you can check it out at our website right here, hhhracingpodcast.com. It's a little bit of a slowdown for us. We are off a little bit of a hiatus, but we are back. Very excited to cover Del Mar, Ryan. This is actually the first time we've actually covered a regular Del Mar outside of the Breeders' Cup. And the first time we're doing this in a little while. So it's good to be back, my friend.
It is good to be back. Yeah, we're going from, feature races being the Breeders' Cup Classic or the Filly and Mare Sprint to I think we have a state-bred $20,000 non-winners of one other than. So it's a drop back into reality, but a good one because we're still at a Del Mar, which you and I, it's basically our home track out there. So, it's a familiar place. Yeah, and a little birdie told me that you got a new show going on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? That's right. Yeah, we're going on. I think we're going to move to. It's on Tuesdays, but the show is called Big Hoof Energy. It's with myself. It's with my normal Get Bucked co-host Jackson, and a new friend of ours, Kaylee Shapiro, who's going to be joining us. She works out for Naira Bets, so we're going to be covering some Naira tracks sequence stuff. So pick 5s, pick 6s, that good stuff. Out on the East Coast. So I'm excited to do that. That's going to be going once a week. And then obviously Get Bucked. And then, of course, Pacific Horseplayers out on the HHH Racing channel. But all exciting stuff and just another excuse to get my face in front of a camera and talk horses. So, of course, we love to talk horses as much as we can. But, yeah, good to see that. And, of course, go check him out. Of course, if you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, notification bell, all that good stuff so you can know when new content will arise. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into the handicapping. We're going to go ahead and start with race 5. Let me get that shared over on the screen here. Race 5 on Saturday, 2:30 Pacific. It is 5 furlongs on the turf. It is an allowance optional claiming for $100,000. Important to note that the rails are out 12 feet, not a ton, but can be of importance at Del Mar with those tight turns. Got a little short field of 6 here. Morning line favorite. If I had to guess, maybe either the 2 Central Dispatch or the 6 Boss Soli. I'll go ahead and get the picks up here. Ryan, you're going with a horse that has been running for quite a while. You're going with the 1 Irideo, the Argentinian bred for Hector Barrios and Marcelo Polanco. One of the 3 that is in for that 100K tag. Yeah, look, this horse is 8 years old, so they've kind of danced every dance. What is that, like 5 or so races back? He was in the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile. He spent most of his career routing or going down the hill at Santa Anita. But then they kind of got him on the flat 6 furlongs. Yes, it was versus Allowance Company that I guess he still was qualified to run in there. But he ran a really good effort, given it was only a 4-horse field, so nothing crazy. But maybe sprinting is going to be this horse's game at this point in his career. So I'll give Irideo a good look here. Obviously, big boost of confidence with Hector Barrios in the saddle. He's one of Del Mar's top turf riders. And then, saving ground, as you mentioned, the rails are out 12 feet. That's always of utmost importance out there. So maybe this race is just kind of going to fit him well. He outclasses a lot of these. So even at 8 years old, I'm thinking maybe he's able to get the job done. Yeah, he's one where you never have a ton of confidence in him, but he's going to run big, especially at a big price. It's interesting, he's run 30 times over his career, and he's never gone 5 furlongs at Del Mar. I mean, it's kind of weird that it took him this long, but certainly one to consider. We'll go to the 5 you have in second, and I also have in second, who's Tigeron for Rispoli and Glatt. One that has actually become accustomed to the 5 furlongs at Del Mar as he won twice over the summer. Yeah, another one going in for the $100,000 tag here is this one's kind of not danced every dance, but he's been at these levels for so long that they've kind of got to put him in. He's cleared through all the conditions. These buyer figures in the last three are competitive, all at the 5 furlongs, all at Del Mar. Rispoli sticks aboard for Mark Glad, who's an outrageous 42% at the meet, given that's only 12 starters, but you still have three others in the money in addition to the 5 wins on top. So, I mean, that's ridiculous to have. So, got to stick with the hot hand here. He was 11 lengths out of it going 5 furlongs. You're never going to win at Del Mar if you're that far out of it, unless your name is Starlust. But I think he's going to have a little bit of a closer trip in this one here. Hopefully, mid-pack somewhere. Rispoli's going to try and get down to the rail, which we all know is important. And I think that's going to be all she wrote once they get down to the finish line.
Yeah, and that's kind of the worry with him too, right? Hopefully Rispoli doesn't leave him with too much to do off of the break. Should be ready to go, but hopefully with the smaller field, Rispoli will get him a little more intact and then not have him, with so much work to do in the lane. And then, Glad, he's on fire right now. It was Papa Padromo, a couple weeks ago, and now it's Glad. The hot hand just, switches. And we'll go to the horse that I actually have on top and you have in third. I'll talk a little bit about Boss Sully. He was one that ran over the summer, and he was coming off a little bit of a long layoff from October to August. And that 5 furlong configuration here, I was a little concerned just because, it wasn't something that he was necessarily good at. It looked like maybe he wanted to go longer. But that effort off the break, I thought was very impressive. I thought that was a pretty good field that he beat that day. And then, Corner threw him, not necessarily to the wolves, but he threw him in a very difficult race last time in the Eddie D, which is a race that we talked about, going 6.5. He was up there for a while, only, lost by 5.5. So there's nothing to sneeze at there. Gets back to a more reasonable spot. Probably going to sit a very good trip, probably off of the 2 Central Dispatch, if I had to guess. Ayuso's been on him a couple times. Just a lot of things to like. Just one that I thought was more logical. He might go off as a favorite, but 6-horse field, maybe you get some kind of price. Anything you got to add with 6?
Yeah, you nailed it. Those are all my notes for the most part. I just think that he's going to sit a pretty tactical trip, given the 2-wide trip at Del Mar maybe isn't exactly what you want going 5 furlongs. But in a race like this, I don't know how many horses are going to be able to make up substantial ground. I think it's only a 6 or a 7-horse field, 6-horse field. So Boss Sully breaking from the outside, just going to sit forward, sit off the 2 Central Dispatch. And yeah, I don't know that it's going to set up for a runner that's going to be a deep closer like my top 2 picks. However, I remain optimistic, but I wanted to throw Boss Sully in there just in case. Yeah,
Matt Miller says, surprised there's no love for Central Dispatch. And when we showed the time for him, it looks like he could have a pretty clear lead. I want to get your take because I don't know if the 5 furlongs, in theory, it maybe should help him because, he's going to have an easy lead and he doesn't have to go as far. But then again, that's just not what he's acclimated to. So obviously you think that is a slight concern because you don't have him in the top 3.
Yeah. I think the 5 furlongs might, I don't know. It feels too sharp, and he has only really won on like an open and comfortable lead. And I don't know that he's going to be able to go that fast that early. Given the down the hill fractions, we got to kind of toss those because they're not going to be as accurate. Here's Jackson Meanies, my co-host. Is the 6 a lock? Need to make back all the money I lost on Ryan's 6 today. Jackson and I had quite a day out at Churchill Downs, but that's for another time. But I think the 5 furlongs, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Central Dispatch early. I'm just not super optimistic about his chances late. Byers just look a little light. I think he might get caught.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Let's move on to race 6 as I get that shared up here on the screen. Race 6 is a $50,000 maiden claimer. It is a terrific field of 9 2-year-olds, of course, for $50,000. Morning line favorite. Your guess at home is as good as mine. It could be, a number of horses. I'm not going to take a guess at that. We'll go ahead and switch over to the picks. I'm going 3-9-1. Ryan is going 6-9-5. He's going with the 6 Master Hawkes, which I think maybe is a play on with Jaime Hawkes from UCLA, maybe. You have any insight on
Maybe first note, I did mess up. I'm 694 in here, but
Okay.
that's okay.
Well,
I'll talk about Master Jocks here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Georgie again having a pretty strong start to this meet, going what is that? About 10 in the money out of 18 starters, 4 winners. That's 22%. Debut maiden claiming is 30% for Georgie, 452 ROI, which I like to see. Those are strong numbers, and this is a field where there's just not a lot to go off of. You mentioned it, trying to pick the morning line favorite. It's pretty impossible. I don't envy Jeff Siegel's job here. I like the works coming in for Master Jocks, and I think I don't know. I just kind of went off trainer angles with who kind of has them ready first out. Georgie is 12% with a 269 ROI, so he pops at prices, but debuting in the maiden claiming ranks, obviously out on the West Coast, is beneficial for him because you don't run into the Bob Bafferts of the world. So Georgie's a really good first time out trainer when he's in those the claiming tag or some state bred races as well. This happens to be both of those. So I like Master Jocks on top. I like the post position too. Should set a cozy trip.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I really wish this was the first race of the sequence so we could see the board. You can kind of get a little bit of an idea with the double probables and then the short field in the first race. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this horse probably will take a little bit of money just with the success that Papa's with the George Pease had over the last month or couple weeks or so. But yeah, I think he's probably a player, probably one you have to use on some tickets. I'll actually go ahead and talk about the 3, who's a horse I am surprisingly very interested in because this is not a great field. The 3 Fahrenheit OC for Kyle Frey and Dan Blacker. This horse debuted on turf in a race that I thought was a pretty live race, going 5 furlongs at Del Mar over the summer. He had a little trouble in that race. They bring him back on the dirt at Los Al. Did not run a step. But the important thing to notice here is he's dropping from maiden special weight to maiden claiming, which you can kind of see the note that I have here. Blacker's 29% with that drop over the last 5 years. And he's also first-time gelding, which, of course, we all know is the biggest equipment change. But you got to pay attention to the works here. Going into his first couple of races, you can see, he hadn't been working all that well or not all that fast. 5 furlongs on 102, 103, 4 and 49 and 1. They gelled him on October 10th, or at least that's when they reported it. Comes back and, for this level is basically breathing fire. Goes 3 furlongs, 34 and 4, and then comes back with a 1:04 bullet on November 4th, and then another 40 and 1, nice maintenance. I just think, there's a lot of intention here to win, and there's really not much that he has to beat. I know he really hasn't done much running in his first 2 starts, but I think the intention is there. It looks like he could be ready to go. And if you get the lead, or if you're near the lead in these, one-turn races with this kind of competition, you're going to give yourself a hell of a shot. So I'm hoping, I don't know, I'll be interesting to see what this horse is on the morning line. But I definitely am interested in the 3 Fahrenheit OC, as you will kind of hear a little bit about later. So we'll go ahead and you've got the 9, who I also have the 9 in second, Packs a Punch. This is a horse that is coming out of a similar race to some of these. I believe this is the one that got cleared out in that race, if I remember correctly. But you go back to his 2-back and 3-back efforts are right here with this group.
Oh yeah. Last race is just an absolute toss for me. That was just a tough go of things. I like the efforts 2 and 3-back. As Noah, you're pulling up the replay. Thank you. But the good efforts at this level, breaking from post 3 both days. That's obviously a tough, as we'll watch the replay here. He's going to get, yes, he's the 4, but he is, I've seen, there are cars in the parking lot that are closer to the rail than he is right now. So, that last race, just a complete toss, especially at the state bred maiden claiming level. You can't expect those horses to overcome an untied shoe, much less a wide trip. So I like him coming back in here. He's going to sit a nice trip. Tiago Pereira has been on absolute fire the past month. He closed out an excellent Santa Anita meet, and he came down to Del Mar and picked up right where he left off, hitting at 29% with 4 wins out of 14 mounts so far. Those 2 and 3-back buyers, as I mentioned, they fit pretty well at this level. As far as competition goes, he should sit a nice clear trip. Hopefully he doesn't get, as wide as he was last time. And he's not breaking from post 3, which he has in all 4 of his previous starts. So, hopefully just a nice cozy trip, and that takes him right around.
Yeah, I think you got to use him. The only 2, I guess, bad races of his career were the one last time where he got taken out, and then the debut where he basically took himself out and eased.
Yeah.
I think you got to use him. You got the 4 in third, who I believe is Whiskey in a Teacup, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Whiskey in a Teacup, and you took my note on the gelding with the ultimate equipment change, so I won't repeat that for the people. But I do love the first time gelding. What's up, Howard? It's good to see you, and we're back from our little break. Boss man's in the chat. So first time gelding was my angle here. You brought up some great points. Ferret Height OC coming off the first time gelding as well seems to be working a little sharper than this runner. But I do like Steve Knapp in this kind of situation with the state breds. He does a good job. So I don't know. I'm going to give this horse a shot. Again, it's a really deep and contentious field. It could be any of these horses' day. And this one's been knocking at the door. So maybe, getting the extra weight off is going to make the difference for this one.
Yeah, it could be. There's many different ways you can go. I've got the 1 in third Empire Warrior. I believe this is one of 2 entries for Baltus. Mm-hmm. And I think both of them are coming out of that same race that we just showed a little bit of the replay. And this one, drew the rail, was 9-1. So, backed a little bit by the public and was not eased, but I think he actually might've been the one that
I think he was the one that took Packs a Punch out. Yeah.
Well, maybe he can run a little straighter this time. It's just, a 0 buyer angle. I've seen what some of these horses can do. He's working okay. It's Baltus. Just going to give a shot with him, but a lot of different ways you can go. In race 6, I'm going 3-9-1, and Ryan is going 6-9-4. Let me get this switched over to race 7. Race 7 is definitely a little bit of a better race in terms of quality. Race 7, maiden special weight, 5 furlongs on the turf, 4 2-year-old fillies. This was a very difficult race, I thought, at least, Ryan, because we've got several first-time starters in here. Again, a race where I think you could go very many different ways for the morning line. And oh my God, I can't speak. We've been off for like 2 weeks. It's struggle bus here. Anyway, race 7, I'm going 1-7-11, and Ryan is going 7-5-9. Ryan going with the 7, Pam and Tina, 4 Freysu and D'Amato, who I believe is one of the several first timers here.
Yeah, a lot of first-time starters, a lot of second-time starters, not much to go off of, not a whole lot of, exceptionally bred horses or anything like that, but pretty much what you would expect for a fall meet at Del Mar for maiden special weight, but it should be a pretty deep and competitive race. I don't expect a huge morning line price on Pam and Tina, but I like the breeding on here. Memos at the top, obviously turf breeding, top and bottom, Ireland. D'Amato, not always strong with his first-time starters. However, he's had a pretty good run of it the past few months. I think he's hit 2 or 3 of his 7 first-time starters, if I have that correct. I forgot to write that one down. But I like Freysu on board. The 7-hole is cozy enough. He's going to be able to save some amount of ground. And at the end of the day, I just don't know what he's meeting here. And I don't know that it's going to take too much to beat him. Obviously, Phil D'Amato on turf, they have bigger goals in mind. So this might be just, have him ready for this. I love the series of drills coming in every 6 to 7 days, pretty much like clockwork. They all seem very workman-like or workwoman-like since this one's a filly. But Pam and Tina, I think, should set up pretty nice. A little bit of a question mark for why JJ or Umberto's not on, but Freysu is certainly no slouch in the saddle when they're on turf or, on dirt too. He's a great rider. So, I'll take Pam and Tina on top here.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. Work tab is very good and consistent. Freysu, is a very capable rider, as we have seen. So, a lot of things to like here. Certainly when you have to use, I think, maybe when it's all said and done, could be the favorite come post time. But we'll have to see. We'll go 2 to the inside. You got the 5 American Privilege in second. I want to hear what you have to say about this one because, for those people who pay attention to California racing, that John Sheriff is not very good first time. But anyway, you got her in second.
Yeah, Sheriff's not known for first-time starters by any stretch, but he hasn't been worse than second at this meet, given he's only had 5 starters. So he's, for whatever reason, he has his A game ready right now. So I'll ride the hot hand. Umberto sticks aboard, or hops aboard rather. They hit it 30% with almost a $5 ROI at Del Mar. And this horse was a $525,000 purchase, owned by CRK Stables, who pretty much primarily rides with Urton and Sheriffs. So just another green flag for me. Obviously, yeah, we're not looking at a whole lot of productivity in terms of first-time starters. Is Sheriff's only 7% out of $29.50 ROI. That's not great. 5% for first-time turf, 5% for 2-year-olds, 7% for turf sprints. I just think you're going to get a price. You get the best turf rider in the West Coast in Rispoli. And again, the hot hand, even if this horse comes in second, you throw a little place money in there or something cheeky like that. Maybe you get a nice price. But I think the 5 deserves more than a second look and is worthy of my second choice in here, just because there's not much to go off of.
Yeah, I mean, you should get a decent price. There's okay breeding. You know, they paid well for this 2-year-old filly at the King of September 2023 sale. Working well. You get Rispoli, like you said. Certainly some things to like, and you know, should be a decent price. I'll go to the inside with the horse that I've got on top, Parle. This is for JJ and John Sadler. There is some decent breeding here that I thought was interesting. Caravaggio is mainly turf. And then Morning Moon, even though there wasn't a ton, there's some I can't pull it up. There's some turf breeding on the dam side and within the second generation. So I think there's some turf intention here. This is Keith Abrahams, I don't believe is, you know, a main client of John Sadler's, but owned and bred by this particular person. The work tab is there. JJ hopping on for Sadler first time, I think, is something to pay attention to. And I like the rail as long as she's got a little bit of speed, which according to her works, it looks like she's got some at least. So if she breaks, she's got the post to get it done. She's going to have some early position. So I think she's definitely one to consider. We'll go to your 9, and then I'll talk about the 11, and we can move on. Who is the 9? This is very difficult.
Can't deal with it.
Can't deal with it for the buggy, Carmona, who has actually been very well from what I've seen, and Adam Kitcheman, who is, again, another first-timer.
Yeah, the Bug Boy can ride. This is another first-time starter. Kitchingham has great numbers all across the board, whether that's first time on turf, where he's 22% with a $4 ROI, 38% with 2-year-olds with a $7. List goes on and on, but those are his top 2. He's a good 12% with first-time starters as well. Pretty small sample sizes all over the board, but he does well kind of early on. So I like that work coming in from San Luis Rey, going 4 furlongs and 47-4. Carmona, the Bug Boy, can ride. He's like a 34-year-old or something bug, but he's got a good deal of talent, and it's good to see him doing well. So I like that the rider here gets a bonus 5 pounds off. That's not going to hurt, even though we're only going 5 furlongs here. And then another attraction was the Sire Violence has just had a great 2-year-old. What is that, 2-year-old crop this year? They've been winning left and right. And I know he's been around for a few years now, but this year he seems to be doing pretty well. So I like that. I like the breeding a little bit underneath. I think this one should be pretty fit coming in. Looking at the series of drills, work tab isn't my favorite, I'll be honest, just because I think there's a couple gaps in there, and we're looking at like 10 days between works in some spots, and it's a little irregular, but he doesn't seem to be missing too many works. So I'll take that for what it is, and I'll take Carmona getting aboard with the 5-pound weight break.
You know, I like it. I think there's several ways you can go, including the horse that I have in third, Madam Secretary, who is actually a $900,000 purchase. And this is for my racehorse. So this horse will probably take some money. Kimura and Mandela. Mandela's not really a first-time guy in terms of turf sprinting. Obviously, he's very good first time. He's more of a first-time dirt guy, but, he's a Hall of Famer, so he's very capable. I don't love that this horse does draw the outside, which is going to be the 11 in here, especially with the rails out just a little bit at 12 feet. And then just, being positioned outside in these 5 furlong turf sprints is very difficult. And you kind of have your back up against the wall to begin with. And then number 2, the breeding just kind of suggests maybe a little bit longer. But again, there's some horses in here that I think could show some speed, some first timers that could have some early gas. So, maybe one that'll be running late and one that can maybe pick up the pieces. You got an interesting question from your co-host Jackson. Any thoughts on the 6? Been waiting for this one to run back. Should like the grass. Do you have any thoughts there?
I mean, yeah, we're going blinkers on. We're going on the grass. We're out of Vacoma, who's also had a spectacular 2-year-old campaign with his first crop of 2-year-olds. Aguilar on board. I gave this one half a look. I just don't love Baltus's numbers with 2-year-olds. He doesn't have great first-time blinkers. He doesn't have great numbers switching onto turf. Doesn't have great second-time starter numbers. And with so little to go off of, maybe the experience kind of gets it done for Miguel or Magale or however you want to, Magale, whatever.
That's not my forte, as people know.
Yeah. Pronunciation's also not mine. He lost to non-compliant, who was a late defection out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So maybe something underneath, but I'm looking kind of towards the future for this one. But probably has some talent there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I wouldn't fault anybody for going several directions and looking for a price in here. So there's several different ways you can go. I'm going 1.711. Ryan's going 7.59. We'll go ahead and move to the feature that Ryan previously told us a little bit about. Race 8. I'll go ahead and get that switched over. Let me do this real quick.
While you do that, Friday we get the return of Tamara. Again, these names.
That's right.
But the daughter of Beholder comes back. So
that's right.
I know Jackson's gonna full push on that one with all $12 he has after my bad picks at Churchill today. So he'll turn that $12 into $17 and we'll keep him moving.
That's right. That's exactly what we do here. Anyway, race 8. It is a allowance optional claiming 20,000, 6 furlongs for the older boys. Morning line favorite could go several different ways. Either the 1 Blackbeard's Ghost, the 2 Afternoon Nap, maybe even the 7 Smiling Beast. Different ways you can go. I'll go ahead and get the picks up on the screen. And Ryan, you're going to be very surprised. We are both going 2-1-7 in this fantastic affair. Both of us going with the 2 Afternoon Nap, 4-year-old for JJ and Carla Gaines, switching from turf to dirt.
Yeah, number one thing that stood out, at least for me, this is a Calbred race, and we get a practical joke out of a Curlin mare here. So this horse has shown a lot of ability, both efforts on turf recently. In the last effort, where you could argue he was best, he was placed second, so put up through a DQ of the number 1 double jab. And then, the effort 2 back going 6 furlongs on the Santa Anita turf course was a winning effort. I think this one has a lot of ability. I think getting to dirt is maybe what this horse ultimately wants to do. And then that 4 furlong and 47 work coming in for Carla Gaines, who normally doesn't work them too quick. So this one has all the telltale signs of being ready.
Yeah, no, I think so. I know, even though he's been on turf, in his limited career, I just think he's been facing better. He was in that N1X race last time and ran well, close to the lead. Like you said, ran that really nice effort to break the maiden 2 back. Carla Gaines is notorious for going turf to dirt. I know it only says 12%, but I think over the last 5 years, she's a little bit better than that. JJ stays on. A lot of things to like you said, practical joke out of a Curlin mare. So definitely some dirt there. I just think that the class above all else is what could, benefit him the most. And that's why I've got him on top. And that's why you got him on top. We'll go to the inside, and this is going to make it easy for me because you got the same top 3. You're going with the 1 and 2 Blackbeard's Ghost, Thiago Pereira, and Steve Knapp. Got the job done on the lead last time. Looks like there could be a little bit of pace in here, as I'll show the time for him as you talk. But what you like about this 3-year-old?
Yeah, got to start off. There's another runner on the West Coast that's kind of in the this same kind of class level named Captain Sparrow. So I'm just hoping one day we get to see Blackbeard's Ghost and Captain Sparrow face off against each other. That'd just be a fun little race call. Oh, yeah. But this horse, Thiago Pereira, aboard for Steve Knapp, breaking from the inside. The intention's going to be there on getting to the front. Sharp 47 second work coming in here off the maiden victory. So. Again, I just know the intention that Pereira is going to have breaking from the rail in this horse's first try against winners. You want to just get out to the lead. I like how this horse opened up down the lane, given it was only a 5-horse field, and it didn't look like like anything too crazy in terms of other runners in there. It was state bred maiden special weight. So kind of, a song and dance that we've seen many times. But this horse was pretty inexperienced in winning. Broke a little slow, nothing crazy, but was pretty green coming down the lane. You could tell this horse was still kind of figuring things out, and Nat might have a decent horse on his hands if this one can kind of put it together and start number 2.
Yeah, and Nap's one of those guys where, he's not gonna, if he's got a talented horse, he's gonna be very patient with them. So, just going through the conditions. On the flip side, what's a little bit unfortunate is I think this race came out pretty tough. So, he's gonna have to be pretty good, especially with all that speed who's outside to get the job done in here. But like you said, could have a very, very talented Calbred on his hands, and looking forward to see how he does with Tiago Pereira aboard. We'll go to the 7. Who I believe is Smiling Beast, who's another horse that broke his maiden in start number 1. This is for Coroner, but this 4-year-old did it all the way back in May.
7, yes, Smiling Beast. Yeah. So, sorry, there's 2 Coroner runners. One is BIG in the 9th, post number 9, who I almost picked in 3rd. So I was no, it is Smiling Beast though. This horse also broke slow in the debut. It was a bit of a red flag to me that JJ hopped off. But I like Armando Ayuso in the saddle. He's pretty productive from there, and he's Coroner's other kind of go-to rider as they hit at 22% with over a $2 ROI. So this horse won as the favorite last time out. Again, not sure how much he beat there, but did go off as the favorite. Broke pretty bad. You can see in the trip notes line off slow. That one was pretty significant, as this one was pretty far out of it. Or I guess 3.5-ish lengths out of it towards the start, but really kind of put everything together. And he looked pretty professional in kind of coming out and getting down the lane and then pulling away to win pretty easily under JJ Hernandez that day. So I like him coming in again, second time out, only a $14,000 purchase, but we know those Smiling Tigers against the Calbreds run pretty well. So Smiling Beast has a good shot here. Brian Coroner, obviously pretty good with the Calbreds here. And I think this horse should, I don't know where this horse is going to sit, but this horse definitely looked like he was able to find the finish line when it was go time. Yeah,
it's just a matter of whether he's going to kind of be ready off the layoff, right? You could kind of make the case of, where has he been? And maybe he had his, fair share of issues, which is why he's been off since May. But Coroner's a guy that, he'll bring him back when they're ready. The work tab is, solid. It's not screaming like he's, super ready to go. But he just might find himself in a really good spot to where horses, go very fast up on the front end and things just kind of melt down for him. So if things kind of do pan out that way, I think he's one you definitely have to consider. It'll be interesting to see how he gets bet on the board. So looking forward to seeing how Coroner does with this 4-year-old. But we'll go ahead and move on to the finale. In race 8, I'm going 217, and Ryan's also going 217. As I get these switched over, I'll go ahead.
As you're pulling it up here, I got curious because we were talking about Tamara, and then I'm looking for another horse that I'm waiting to see when he is going to run back, and that's Eagle's Flight, the half sib to Flight Line. But on the work tab, it shows that he's working kind of every 2 weeks, but he hasn't worked since November 7th. So that's just something to note. I was a little curious.
Interesting. Anyway, race 9.
I love that horse.
Yeah. Race 9. It is a maiden claimer, 50,000, 1 mile on the turf. Of course, the rails are just out a bit at 12 feet. Got a very deep field of 12, I believe. Morning line favorite could go to the 6, Dangerous Affair, or maybe towards the outside with the 11, Last Elizabeth. Geez, I can't. We've been off for so it feels like so long. I can't even speak right now. I got the picks pulled up. I'm going 2-11-6. You're going 6-11-2. So you and I are very similar to finish out the day of the last 2 races. You are going with the 6, Dangerous Affair. Interestingly enough, a New York bred for Tiago Pereira and Mark Latt, who again we touched on, has been very hot.
Absolutely. He's red hot. Jackson brought up a great point on Eagle's Flight. That work on the 7th was only 5 days ago. I forget what day it is right now. So that feels like damn near a month ago. But Dangerous Affair, to stick to that. Yeah, you mentioned Mark Glatt has been red hot. this Del Mar meet with those 5 winners out of 12 starters. This runner is second off the break, just a short break from the summer at Del Mar, but gets to go 2 turns again, where that last effort was somewhat respectable, and that was open maiden special weight company. So I think in the maiden claiming ranks, this one should have a decent shot. I mentioned my affinity for the Violence Offspring, and then Giants Causeway mare underneath. This horse should appreciate the 2-turn distance, should appreciate that class relief this time going the 2 turns, as this one was pretty close to only 2.25 lengths off of the winner last time out, going the sprint distance. So I think the stretch out's going to benefit this one. Trainer, obviously superb numbers all the way around, but the 25% sprint to route kind of sticks out for me as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because, this horse just off of numbers looks like could be, very logical and one of the major players. It was interesting that Tiago Pereira hopped aboard because I thought, maybe some other jockeys could take this mount if this horse was really that live, which I guess I could be nitpicking in a race that I think is pretty wide open. But certainly something to consider. Rispoli was on last time and the horse ran well at 5-2. So you could, make the argument, why didn't he run back? But, it's just nitpicking. But Dangerous Affair is certainly one to look at. You've got the 11 in second, who I also have in second. The horse that I'm not going to try and pronounce again, for JJ and Jeff Mullins. This is a horse that's actually 0 for 8, but was off a little bit of a layoff last time. And I thought ran a pretty decent race once she dropped to that maiden claiming level.
Yeah, last Elizabethan should be pretty good here. You're welcome. A Calbred here running against Open Company. So I love the ambition there by Mullins, but Mullins can place him well. And yeah, you mentioned that was a really good effort, first time against maiden claiming ranks, and he went Open Company and still ran his best race on paper off the short break. So you got to hope that second off the break here for Mullins, who's 19%, second off this kind of layoff with a 240 ROI. You got to hope that that's going to be put him, at least one step closer to the winner's circle, as I picked this horse second. Only a $7,000 purchase. So he's already, almost basically tripled that in, winning so far. So you got to love that. And he hasn't even actually won a race. So I don't know. I'm thinking second off this short break might just be it. You get JJ to stick aboard, who hops off. That was the last race. But JJ stays aboard here. They're hitting at 29% out of 7 starters. So he's going to have him placed well. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not this horse is good enough when they turn for home.
Yeah, and a big question is whether or not JJ can work out a trip from that far out. Obviously, the 0 for 8 is a big concern, but I just feel like she might just be figuring things out. The race she ran last time was a little too good to kind of leave her off tickets, and I feel like if she's going to get it done, it's probably going to be Saturday. So I've got her in the mix. Speaking of in the mix, we both have the 2 who I've actually got on top, and you've gotten third. I'll go ahead and bring up the time form because I was a little surprised by this, but I guess I really shouldn't be. 2 is stretching out from 6 furlongs to a mile and adding the blinkers and projected to be on the lead. Of course, you got this horse in third. So why don't you go ahead and tell us why you got that horse in third?
Yeah, this horse has the breeding to love going long, and this horse seems to handle the turf fine. Has those running lines on turf that look like this horse basically just ran in place and ran with a group of horses to go left. Once as well as go straight a couple times. So I think this horse stretching out should be pretty strong. Pretty low key trainer in Victor Garcia, but he does pretty well in spots like this. So I think stretching out, getting the blinkers on for the first time where he's popped at prices when he has, done this move successfully, as he's 50%. That's only 2 for 4 with the blinkers on, but a $14.95 ROI. So obviously those prices have been pretty massive. I don't know what price we're going to get on Rich of Joy here, but I mean, maybe 6-1 is me being optimistic.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a good price because this horse is bred to like the 2 turns. You don't really know what you're going to get stretching out here second time against claiming company. But I mean, I like my chances, and Fresu aboard is a jockey upgrade on turf from Abel Cedillo. No disrespect to him, but I do love, I think everybody should probably know by now, I love Fresu on turf. So that's confidence enough. How about you?
Yeah, no, I think this horse is interesting. Obviously, I've got her on top. I'm interested to see what Fresu does in terms of tactics, because if he does kind of get the lead, I'd be a little more interested in that, just because, there's really no world beaters in here. So if Racing can kind of just take it to everyone and, get the lead, take control, and kind of, take charge of things up front, I'd like her chances in that regard. She's had a kind of a strange campaign. She ran in that loaded maiden race with Hope Road and one Magic Filly that came back and were very talented. And then threw her in a similar race, going 5 furlongs on the turf. I want to say she was like 20-1 or 30-1 morning line. And then she got bet all the way down to 4-1 or 9-2, ran perfectly fine. And then back to the dirt, didn't run very well, back to the turf in a much easier spot. And then she has trouble early. She doesn't get positioned and just kind of doesn't run very well. So, the blinker should help. I'm just going to be interested to see what happens here in terms of tactics. And I'll also be interested to see what kind of price. I'm hoping I get that 6-1 because I think that would be very good. And I like some things about her. So certainly one that I'm interested in, certainly one to consider. Any other horse you want to touch on before we go to best bets, or should we just go ahead and move on?
We can go ahead and move on. I think I don't really have much else to speak about this one. This is a tough race to get out. So, good luck if you're playing any horizontal sequences, because when you get to this last race, I think it's a 12-horse field, and you could make a case for probably 9 of them in here.
Yeah, it is definitely wide open. It's a wide open sequence, that's for sure. We'll start.
I don't know if it builds my confidence that we ended up on the same 3 horses in this last one, or if that just means that one of the other 9 are going to win. But either way, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I guess we got my best bets down on the screen.
Yeah, speaking of same horses,
there we go. Yeah, right. Race number 8 is going to start both of my best bets. I'm going to key everything kind of around afternoon nap. I don't know the price we're going to get, but anything kind of 2-1 or above on afternoon nap, I'll be happy with. So I'll place a win bet on afternoon nap. That's the Carla Gaines trainee at a Practical Joke. So I love that horse getting to dirt. And then I'm going to roll a double. That's a 2 afternoon nap, as I've mentioned about 6 times in the past 4 seconds. And then that's going to go right into the number 6. And the name of the number 6 is Leaving Me at the moment. But I like that. I like that one with a shot here. The number 6 is Dangerous Affair, Pereira from Mark Glatt, stretching out on turf. So I'm thinking that's going to get me home and be my couple of best bets of the Saturday afternoon.
And I like it. We'll go ahead and move on to mine. I'm going race 6 with a win bet on the number 3, I believe. The horse's name is Fahrenheit OC. I think there's just I have a lot of optimism there with the first time gelding in the drop and Blacker being so good with that drop from maiden special weight to maiden claiming. Should get a decent price. I know that's not a great group, but horse that I'm very interested in. And then race 8, similar to you, Ryan, I've got the Exacta with afternoon nap on top. And then with the 1 and the 7 underneath, try to catch some value in that race because I think that's a pretty decent and wide open race. And I think you could, even if you catch a shorter price, I think you could get, maybe 7-2, 4-1 on afternoon nap. So very wide open race there. Lots of value to get from there. And those are my 2 best bets. That's going to go ahead and wrap things up for us. Ryan, any final thoughts? Any shows you got coming up? Any chances for Jackson to get his money back from Churchill today? I'll leave the floor to you.
Yeah, Jackson and I have a Get Bucked episode going on tomorrow. Tomorrow, probably like I don't know. I think HHH Picks and Ponies wraps up around like 5:30, so we'll probably hit it around 5:30. So right when that show wraps up, so we're not overlapping with the team. We'll be covering a sequence over there. So stay tuned because we're still kind of finalizing which one we want to do. As we have our New York show now. And then, I gotta look at Sunday's card when that comes out because I got to do the old simulcast show up at Del Mar. So that'll be another exciting week up there and a good excuse to get me to the racetrack for this fall meet. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've been seeing you've been doing quite a few of those with Kurt Hoover, and it's been awesome to.
Kurt's a great guy.
Yeah, no, it's been really cool to see that, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to keep doing that, and hopefully we'll get to check out some of your shows and make sure you guys go check out him after PNP tomorrow. PNP, PHP. There's a lot of acronyms with this show. But that's going to do it for us. For my wonderful co-host Ryan Anderson, I've been your host Noah Maher with episode 5 of Pacific Horseplayers, covering Del Mar late pick 5 for Saturday, November 16th. Make sure you check us out all of this week and next week, and take care. PHP out.